Good morning, welcome to another video of Friends Green Porsche Prep Book, episode 41 this one. In this episode we are going to be showing this 997 Gen 2 Turbo in the workshop, and we're simply going to run through how a major service is completed, a PDK service is completed, and a brake fluid change.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's take it away. Okay, so that's kind of the little trivial bit to the service done, isn't it? So firstly, you saw in here, taking the scuttle covers off, pollen filters in there, washer fluids there. Ollie was checking the drains beneath the battery there to make sure they're clear, because otherwise water builds up and goes inside the cabin. That was all clear already, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Then what else? Greasing the locks and hinges all round. Tyre pressures were all done. And then in these, the oil filter, unlike the earlier cars that we always do in the 996s and 997 normal Carreras, the oil filter's here rather than underneath. So you've cracked that off, changed the oil filter, you've seen the oil being drained.
We've filled it all up now as well.
Saw the trivial bits like checking the lights all around, making sure they're okay. And now, the car's going to go in the air. You're taking an under tray off, do the visual checks. There's a load of visual checks that we do on the brake pipes, coolant pipes, all that sort of thing, make sure everything's in order. And then it's stripping the rear of the car and changing the spark plugs, basically. That's the biggest job, isn't it? Obviously, we've got to get the airbox out and change the airbox. So are we going to set up a little time lapse and
we'll do that next.
Show that all being done?
Yeah.
So we've had the time lapse going, we've seen the rear bumper coming off, the intercoolers are off, which are situated right about here, coming off the turbos. Now it's coil pack heat shields coming off. Not a lot of access there, is there, Ollie?
No, there's not loads.
And then we're into the spark plugs. Intercoolers down there. Right, so that coil pack heat shield is neatly tucked out the way down there. We can see the coil packs here, cylinder 6, cylinder 5, cylinder 4. Am I right in thinking you've had them out and changed the plugs already? Because the bolts are out the bottom, so you've got one bolt holding them on at the bottom. Also, there's an actuator onto the turbo here, which you would have seen in the last clip in place.
It just sits here. But you have to remove this to get the centre coil pack out, because there's not enough room, and it's a bit difficult to get out. You usually have to use a ball-ended Allen key to get them out, but once you've got that out of the way, you have the access to pull this centre one out. You can't actually get this out unless you remove this actuator.
Show me that bolt you've had fun and games with. So because it's next to the turbo and next to the exhaust and the engine, it's getting very hot, and as we know...
This bolt furthest back, which sits in like that, as you can see, it's already awkward to get to.
So seized bolts and corrosion are encouraged by hot, cold,
Yeah.
which is this is the worst place for it, next to the turbo and the exhaust. So that bolt was very badly seized and got a rounded off head, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Let's have a little focus on that. Yeah, that was fun, was it? I wasn't here to hear you
Yeah, I
swearing
only
on
just
that one.
got it out.
There we go. So you got the plugs in, so it's just reassembling this now. Have you done the other side as well?
No, I haven't done the other side yet.
Can't you remember? 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 Can you believe in my memory?
It's a hard nut.
Okay, so the rear end of the car is back together. So the major service, I think, is all but complete. We've done the kind of... Well, during a major service, you basically do a mechanical inspection of the car. Now, this customer, when he dropped the car off, was complaining of the suspension feeling flighty and wandery. If we look over the suspension, it's all original looking. So it looks very old, and we've got the original Porsche markings on, so it's still got the Porsche parts fitted. So anyway, between myself and the customer, he's decided to go for a full suspension overhaul, but we're not doing that now. We'll book that in for January. So if we look at some of these suspension arms, if you look at that bush on the rear lower arm there, the bushes are delaminating and coming away from the actual body of the arm, and that'll be making the car feel vague. But anyway, on to the next bit of the servicing, Ollie. What are we doing?
We're going to start carrying out the PDK service. This isn't just getting an oil change, we're changing the filter on this as well. So that requires us to remove this sump pan, and it comes with a built-in filter, and you're getting a whole new sump pan for it actually.
Yeah, so you can't just replace the filter on these. We've covered this before, haven't we, in a previous episode? You have to buy the actual sump pan from Porsche. It's a plastic unit, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that has the filter within the actual sump. So that's going to be removed, changed. There's a whole procedure to refilling these as well with fluid, isn't there, on P-Wiz?
That's right. There's a bleed procedure on it when it comes to filling it.
So we'll show that, shall we, a bit later on?
Yeah, we'll show the procedure now.
Can you believe I am for real?
Right, so we've got the old PDK sump out sitting next to the new one here. This is the filter here. As you can see, it's quite discoloured and dirty. So we've got the fresh one going in there. We're just going to be cleaning up the maiden surface before putting it back on, and then we'll show you the filling procedure.
Okay, Oliver. Talk to me. What are you doing now? So gearbox full of oil
Yeah, well, it's got
to a point.
It's got 3.5 litres in at the moment. When it gets to that sort of stage, you have to bleed the system, and then we'll get it up to temperature, and then that'll allow me to put the rest of the fluid in. They hold a capacity of about 5.5 litres. So once it's up to temperature and bled up, it will allow me to get the rest in and get it to the right level. We're going full fill mode here. We just follow through this test plan. You have to get the engine up to temperature first, the gearbox up to temperature first for it to go into the oil fill mode.
We've got to leave this a little while now, haven't we, to get up to temperature.
Yeah.
So we've got to get the gearbox up between 30 and 50 degrees C.
Right, so we've just got the temperature just sitting at just above, just up to 30 now. So we're going to carry out the bleeding transmission procedure, which takes, as you can see, it takes about 40 seconds. And then we'll go through to fill up the rest of the PDK box. Right, so we've got fill mode activated right now, so we've got 5 minutes to get the rest of the fluid in, so we're going to get that in now.
Both just so good looking, aren't you?
Right.
I'm not putting that in. Okay, it is the next morning, and the 997 Gen 2 servicing work is all done, and a couple of other little bits that we've done for him as well while the car's been here, which we'll show in a sec. The last clip was the PDK service being done. We didn't talk about a brake fluid change because that's very generic, but that's been done as well. What do you reckon? Major service on one of these, plus a 12-year PDK service with the sump pan as you saw, and a brake fluid change. It's about a day's work at a push, isn't it, with an early start?
Yeah, it's probably a day's work, yeah.
What do you reckon? 4.5 hours on the major,
Yeah.
2 hours on the PDK,
Yeah, and then all the
hour
other
on the
trivial
brake
bits.
fluid. Yeah, so there we go. It's all done. There's not really much to note about it, is it? It all went smoothly on this car.
Yeah, well, apart from an actuator bolt.
Oh, that we spoke about, didn't we? That one bolt that was
apart from
rounded
the
off and
actuator
corroded.
bolt, aside from that, it all went really smoothly.
As we said, we do a mechanical inspection with a service, as should be done with any service on a Porsche. And the customer had already complained about kind of wandery, flighty steering that wasn't instilling confidence. All the arms and the bushes and stuff are all quite worn. So we've booked in for January to do a comprehensive suspension overhaul. So maybe a 2-part video on that. Shall we show the bits and pieces on the inside? This video isn't about it, but we've done 2 of our kind of trademark upgrades.
So we've had the red belts installed. As we all know, everyone loves a set of red belts or coloured belts. They do any colour you want.
Looks nice.
Looks really nice with the red calipers and it
Great
being a black
calipers.
car as well.
Yeah, on a turbo or Carrera S, they've got red calipers as well. And then,
Also, we've had the centre console resprayed.
so we strip out the centre console, it's very fiddly. Send that off and then rebuild it. That's in basalt black body colour, as you can see. So those centre consoles, they come from factory. They're obviously a plastic part and they're dipped in like a plasticky paint rather than a normal hardened paint like that, and just you touch it with your nail and you get a scratch on there, so they often look worn and let the car down. It was a factory option to have body colour there, or you could have Arctic silver and they'd call it the aluminium look package. So yeah, it's a nice upgrade. I think I'll be really happy with that and the belts. Should we wrap that up here?
Yeah.
So yeah, if you need any servicing work, give us a shout. I'll put the socials and the website address on the screen right about now. Thanks for watching.